Hey, what's up, Columbia? What's up, Matt? This is Dr. Aaron Bishop, Pastor Bishop, Commissioner Bishop. Hey, just call me the return on investment. I'm the native son, the ROI. Here, listen, I'm here with the Columbiapedia, and I'm doing everything from A to Z, past to present, and I'm here to talk about the letter K. Oh man. All right, so the Colga Center, just for the joking part of the moment, people from the inner city, the Columbia area, thought it was called the Kroger Center because Kroger was like the best grocery store in Columbia at one time, so everyone thought it was associated. But yeah, the Colga Center of Arts was this state-of-the-art performing arts facility that allow people to choose something different than the township or either the Coliseum. And USC made a grand investment, I think around 1989. And to this day, the city, Columbia Ballet performs there, Philharmonic concerts go on there. And you know, I remember one of the great events was the African American History Calendar that took place there, where some of my mentors and role models were spread out through that glass area in that big foyer to sign your calendar. And so that facility was opened up for all walks of life, and it's a beautiful addition to Assembly Street, man. Just an amazing facility. All that glass, area, you can just look out and see all the bustling and rustling through not only just USC, but all throughout the downtown area. The Kimberly Aiken, Miss America, class of 1992, Columbia High School. And I think she went on to become Miss Columbia. Yes, I'm pretty sure that, and Miss South Carolina. She was the first African-American woman to ever win Miss South Carolina, and I think the fifth woman of African descent to be Miss America. And I never forget that. You know, she was a very gorgeous and still a very beautiful woman. And when she won that at the tender age of 18, man, Columbia erupted. You know, we was like, that's one of our own. And not only that, she's part of Richland One family. You know, Columbia High School graduate, and then go on represent the Met, as we call it. Columbia is called the Met, and then go on and represent this nation. Not Miss USA, but Miss America. So a little history about Kimbrough & Sons. Its most famous location is right there off of Farrell Road. And if you know anything about Columbia and Farrell Road, it used to be a place called Sunshine City next door to it. And so that was a lot of foot traffic in that area because you had a big grand church across the street. You had an old Popeye's chicken. So let me tell you what you can do. You can go get you a pair of Chuck Taylors from Sunshine City. Go get you a two-piece snack from Popeye's. Go to church at St. John's and come out and get some furniture to go home from Kimbrough & Sons. And what people may not know, that's been there for almost, I think, about 5 decades now. It's the most famous location, but there was also locations on Main Street, and then they moved to Assembly Street, then came back to Main Street. You know, the history of Columbia is that black people couldn't necessarily walk on certain streets downtown, like Main Street or Assembly Street. And so when they moved to Farrell Road, which was a bustling community for African Americans, it showed that they didn't necessarily, see black or white. They saw green because they wanted people to get quality furniture for their homes, and everyone went and got, a set, a sofa from that place. And a little history about it as well. They're used to moving around and expanding. That's why they went from Kimbrough & Sons to just Kimbrough. And in Sumter, they have 2 locations, literally across the street from each other. So everyone knows about that furniture store. It used to be an old grocery store, but everyone knows those big letters, Imperial and Sons, right there off Fair Road. Keeping it 100, keeping it 100. When you keep it 100, that means you want to stay authentic and real, that you got to stay truthful and true to who you are and who you confide in. And you know, the truth is everybody you confide in is not confidential, right? They don't keep it 100. And so when you are, what the old school people used to say, keeping it real, you're actually keeping it 100. That means 100%. Not 99, because 99 and a half won't do, right? You gotta keep it 100 or keep it 100. Just keep it keeping on, all right? How about that? King Day at the Dome, a very historical moment here in the city of Columbia, where the NAACP organized with several other organizations to bring some awareness to things that are societal challenges that as a city and even a state we can overcome together. You know, the old songwriter says, "We shall overcome." Well, we know that has a time stamp all the way back to the days of Dr. King, Reverend Dr. King. And we had our own leaders who walked in the footsteps and even walked with Dr. King during times that he marched for justice. And so marching continued, and it continued all the way to King Day at the Dome. And what people may not know is a historical fact, that we all know that Dr. King met his demise or was assassinated at the Lorraine Motel in Memphis. But what people may not know is that instead of going to Memphis, he was supposed to come to Columbia. He was supposed to preach at a revival at the Big Zion Church, which is located downtown. And so the King Day at the Dome starts every year at this church to go down Main Street all the way to the Dome to hear speeches and things that will help challenge people to be a part of the good fight. And there's been people such as President Barack Obama, who made that march to the Dome, to even Hillary Clinton, who came one year, and a number of people I can't even begin to name or end in names, who just came to the Dome. And we know that the Dome was really a march for taking down the Confederate flag. That march at the Dome for the King Day at the Dome was about letting us know that there's a flag that people don't agree with, and there are people who agree with it. But therefore, let every voice be heard, and that's what the King Day at the Dome was about. I remember watching Mel's Diner and hearing Flo, going off on Mel, "Kiss my grits." It was this thing you even heard through your homes in Columbia, because that was a very famous show. It was heard throughout the community. It was heard on the streets. I was a young preteen when I first heard it, and even some of the girls and the guys who was going to school with me would say it, "Kiss my grits." And I guess it's just a safe way to tell somebody off without using a profane approach. But everyone knows that the "Kiss my grits" may also agree with the word grits. Grits means what? Girls or guys raised in the South, right? And so when you say "kiss my grits," you're telling people, kiss the behind part of me. Oh man, 1983 graduate of AC Flora. I know we just finished talking about Kim Aiken, 1992 graduate, and then you have Kristen Davis, a 1983 graduate of AC Flora. I just got to do this. I'm a Richland One graduate, and Richland One strong. For those who know about Richland One, we have products of greatness coming out of these schools and this district, but Kristen Davis was definitely one of them. This young lady knew she was going to be an actress at the age of 9, and one of her first acting parts was in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. at the Workshop Theater. Now you got to really be from Columbia to know about the Workshop Theater. And to really bring it into today's conversation, she went from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs to Sex and the City. What a way to go, right? From one thing to another. And in between that, she stopped at the Melrose place and did a stint there as well. But everyone knows her from Sex and the City, and she's definitely one of the native daughters of the area. We got enough time to talk about Keenan? All right, so Keenan. Legend has it that two kids was playing with fire and burnt down several acres of trees right off Pine Belt. It was called Pine Belt because it was a belt of trees that were pine trees. And once the fire was put out, one of the people in the community said, let's build a school there. And so in 1970, a junior high school was erected in honor of William J. Keenan, who actually was the chairman of the Keenan Oil Company here in Columbia. And it was a junior high before it was a high school. And it was one of the feeder schools to AC Florida. So Creighton and Keenan Junior High fed into AC Florida, which is located in Forest Acres. And so that location, which was right off of Pine Belt, was there for a number of years to serve junior high school students. Well, it then got established as a high school. But what some people may not know this historically about Keenan, it was the first air-conditioned first air-conditioned school in the state of South Carolina. It was the first air-conditioned school in the state of South Carolina. It was the most modern school of its time. But what people don't also recognize is that it was during a time where the desegregation of schools was happening. So when you see it transform from a junior high to a high school, you must understand it was also part of a desegregation project that the school district was putting underway, where this school that normally would feed into AC Florida becomes the 9th high school of the area, and kids who went that normally would go to AC Florida are now going to Keenan, and then kids that were coming from Johnson were now coming to Keenan. So during the contentious time of our community, you had about 1,500 students at one school that are dealing with race relations. Think about that. And so Keenan has been historically known as a school where we healed race relations. We dealt with race relations at Keenan High School. You fast forward it, you come from the history of Mr. Keenan, who was the name of the school, Mr. W.J. Keenan, who was the chairman of the oil company. Guess what? He served Richland School District 1 for 25 years. He was the chairman of the school district. And just a little side note, I know he's the first Mr. Keenan. Well, you're looking at Mr. Keenan 1992 right here. I really was Mr. Keenan, and my sister was Mrs. Keenan 1984. But Keenan, as everyone knows, is known for basketball. It is a basketball school. I think we just recently won our 4th state championship in 5 years with the girls. So if you haven't done anything lately, go by and see a good basketball game at Keenan High School. Krispy Kreme. Not Dunkin'. Krispy Kreme. I remember, going off of Taylor Street and Pickens Street, turning into that parking lot. So you got to be old school to know about this. It just wasn't on North Main. A lot of people went to the one on North Main, but when you went to the one by the Taylor Street Pharmacy, because Taylor Street Pharmacy used to be open 24 hours, and then you go next door to Krispy Kreme, and the Hot Now sign will be on. Everybody knows about the Hot Now sign, and you can get you a good donut from Krispy Kreme, some wonderful coffee. My favorite donut from Krispy Kreme was the ice cream when you had the icing in the middle with the chocolate on the top. Oh my goodness. Everyone used to go to the Krispy Kreme. I know everyone still go to one in West Columbia, but you had to go to that one right there on Pickens, and then you'll turn around and go to the one that later came up on North Main, but Krispy Kreme. Hey everyone. Man, listen, that was the letter K of the Columbiapedia, past to present. I've had a great time. I know letter L is next, but guess what? We're not taking any L's here in the city, man. We are Columbia, we are the Met. And if you want to follow me at Bishop for Bishop on Instagram or Twitter. This has been an amazing experience and what an amazing idea to tell our story.